Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to a brand new YouTube video and welcome to sunny Northern California. It's a beautiful day out today and it is quite a rarity for the Bay Area. So I thought I'm just going to capitalize on this opportunity and record a brand new video for you guys. In this video, we're going to go over my 2022 Audi RS5 and why there's a couple of things that are driving me crazy about this car. A couple of things that I hate, throughout my year and a half of ownership. Some things came up, a couple of repairs, a couple of bills, and just a couple of things that drive me a little bit crazy about the car. So let's get into it. Now, I thought a good place to start would be on the exterior of the car. Obviously, I'm not gonna go into boring black paint and how much I kind of dislike it at this point. We're gonna talk about the wheels. And the wheels, the fact is, they're beautiful. They're 20-inch front and back. However, the design is a little bit odd. It reminds me of I think it's a Honda CR-V. If you guys know, you know, but they have those like cheap looking wheels, and I don't like that these wheels on a $100,000 car remind me of that, but they're beautiful nevertheless. One thing though, for a daily car, obviously when you buy an expensive car, a sports car with low profile tires, etc., you got to be very careful when you parallel parking, or just not hitting any curbs. But shout out my lovely girlfriend for curbing my rims. As you can see, it's just a little bit, but we're gonna take care of that in a few weeks. But this is just number one. Cars like this, they come with a little bit of extra responsibility, a little bit of extra headache. So these are the things that you got to be watching out for. Surprisingly enough, from the exterior, that's about it. That's the only thing that kind of drives me crazy about the car. It's just the rims, but we can live with that, obviously. The thing that I cannot live with is these seats. The seats are very comfortable, but very impractical. I mean, the car has 15,000 miles on it, but just look at the condition of the bolster right here. I don't know if you guys can see, but the leather is already starting to show very heavy wear on the sides here and here. And if we look at the passenger side as well, as you can see, we're having some issues, and it's not from the sun. The car has been parked in the garage for the most of the time. I also have a film on the front windshield. It's a ceramic tint from the inside, so there's a lot less UV rays that are hitting the leather than you guys might think. But it's just the way you get in and out of the car that's causing this problem. And this is just something that you got to be aware about. I clean the leather fairly often. I also lubricate this leather, hydrate the leather. But it is what it is. That's just one thing that's just driving me crazy about this car. I think the build quality is actually extremely solid. I drove a number of new Audis, especially in the lower tier range, whether it's an A3, Q3, Q5, drove a Q7 on the, lower side of the builds. And I'm very much impressed with the build of an RS model. It feels very premium. It feels, I would even dare to say Porsche-like. But obviously there's a few things that come from the factory, even though this car is built in Europe. However, there's a couple of things that drove me a little bit crazy. First things first is the the driver door squeaking. My driving position, I like to put my elbow on the side right here, and this part started to squeak after probably like 5,000 miles or so. However, I read online that Audi actually have a special tape, or a little foam like tape, whatever, that they put inside these panels that kicks in the adhesive and sort of have a good amortization of the panel, and it stops squeaking. So now it's nice and solid, but it's just something that you're gonna have to address possibly. Now the next thing that we're gonna talk about is actually a sunroof. I mean, the sunroof is great, it's beautiful, I use it all the freaking time. However, I take this car out for drives, and when I drive it pretty hard, or when I'm just going on a bumpy road, there's some wobbling a little bit that is happening somewhere around like this area right here. And it's very hard to reproduce this on camera right now. Honestly, it just comes and goes. I will try to address this, but it's just something that has been happening to me. I'm not sure that's an issue with all the A5 lineup models. However, it's just an issue with my build. So it is kind of annoying that this is happening. the center console area. I'm not gonna mention this glossy part that is already all scratched up. You know, you can polish that, you can put PPF on it. You know, some people are fans of it, some are not, so this is whatever. What I'm gonna talk about is the cup holder issue. Now this is probably the area of the most amount of sound that is coming in the cabin. Obviously this is not a luxury car, this is a sports car, first and foremost, and you're not supposed to have a total, you know, isolation like in Rolls-Royce, I don't know. But from my perspective, the build of the cup holders could be better. Now if we take a listen here, if I just do this is fine. If I put a water bottle here, you know, this doesn't do any sort of noise like that. But when I put a water bottle here, this is what happens, and this is quite annoying. If I put anything in here, it just starts to make this weird sound. I don't know if you can do something with a WD-40 here or something, but I'm just going to try to address this later, you know, when I take it into service. Now the next thing, we're going to talk a little bit about the repairs. I mean, the A5, S5, and RS5 seems to have a little bit of a defect with the passenger door speaker where it would wobble. It seemed like the bass was blown. I listen to a lot of music when I drive pretty much all the time. However, you know, I don't crank it up. I'm not a fan of, you know, my car vibrating like some people are. Yeah, but the right door speaker had to be replaced. I actually know a friend of mine who had an 2018 S5, and he called an lemon law on his car, and Audi took the car back just because, you know, his speaker kept blowing up. I don't know if it was a good decision or not from his perspective. I don't know how his relationship is with Audi these days, but you know, it's just a very common problem on these cars and something to be aware about. And it's been sort of bugging me for a while, but luckily was addressed with a warranty. So now, one more quick thing that I wanted to address in this video is regarding the wireless charger. I know that's not an Audi's fault. However, to my knowledge, Apple has a really weird pattern on their wireless charging technology that is not standardized across, let's say, like any other smartphone manufacturers. And the problem with that is that the phone gets extremely hot. I'm not sure how many volts is this charger right here, but I have the wireless charger that is right here that you can place your phone in. There's no center console, which is a little bit of a minus, obviously. But when you place your phone there and it starts charging, even through the case, which sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't, but it gets your phone extremely hot. And the Audi MMI system, that is actually very nice, and I do like it quite a bit, it becomes unbearably slow and just laggy. So that's a big minus. Honestly, I would way rather not to have this wireless charger in the car and just plug in a regular cord. However, I can't fully blame Audi on this. This is more of an Apple thing, but it's just something that, you know, I keep in mind. Switched up the location. I'm still in the same parking garage, but I just went a level down because it's getting really hot outside. But the next thing I'm gonna talk about that I don't like about this car is actually the interior lighting. Don't get me wrong, it's good. You can change some colors, but it's not as nice as, let's say, like a Mercedes, obviously. But there's a couple of places where I think they could have, you know, been a little bit better, picked up a little bit of slack. Obviously, the interior lighting, you know, you got some nice lines here, some little bit of ambient here on the center console, and then as you guys can see in the back as well. But if you look at the Bang & Olufsen system right here, it's always going to be white, which is, you know, a little bit annoying. You know, why couldn't they just carry this theme down here? This is number one. And number two, I think that would have elevated this car a lot more is the footwell for the driver and the passenger side. For both, you know, you just get a little bit of a white light. I think you can turn this off in the system settings, but you know, it's a little bit too dark for my personal liking. But they should have done an ambient lighting. I don't know why they didn't do that. It's kind of unfortunate. Audi, pick up your slack. And one more thing I forgot to mention on the topic of the exterior of the car. I already, you know, started to complain to you guys about the wheels and everything, and the fact that you can curb them extremely easily. But there's one big but. And I talked about this topic with my detailer a lot because he actually details a few of the RS5s for his clients. And he says they're all prone to the same problem, which is brake dust. The brake dust on this car is insane. Literally, after like 4 or 5 days of driving, you know, you can barely recognize the color of your front discs. I mean, right now, they're looking nice, they're looking pristine, obviously, but as you can see, it's already picking up quite a bit of dust. And keep in mind, guys, this is me taking the car out the second time after I detailed it, you know? Now, I think the last thing that I can think of that I don't like about this car is actually a soft rev limiter. A lot of petrolheads would agree with me. I mean, this car was built in Europe, but it was shipped to be sold in the United States as a 2022 model, and I thought that, you know, the OPF filter restrictions, you know, aren't that strict here, but they actually are. And I think the car is limited to 3,500 RPM stationary. So if we just, you know, go right here, throw this thing into neutral. Now I lied. I think it's 4,000. But still, you know, it could have been better. It just could have been a little bit better, a little bit spicier. Would have been nice. Now here's the thing, ladies and gents. I know how I sound. When I talk about all these issues, some of you might find them kind of obnoxious, kind of even petty a little bit, and I don't want to sound like a brat, honestly. However, I am a customer. I have been using this car. This is my personal opinion only. And just the plank that I set usually for new cars, especially now in this current day and age, is a little bit high, right? I would not be complaining about these things if I bought, I don't know, let's say like a previous gen, you know, 2013 to 2015 Audi RS5. I just wouldn't. However, this car costs a pretty penny. And these are the things that I just found for my personal use for the past year and a half, a little bit annoying. But overall, I'm just going to wrap up this video and say that regarding all of these issues, just regardless, this has been a fantastic car to drive. It's been worth every penny that I paid for it, and it's just super fun. It's durable, it's sporty, it's not obnoxious, it's under the radar, and it's just a really, really fun car to drive around town. It's a fun car to drive on the highway. It's a fun car to take to the canyon roads or just out for a cruise with your friends, or take a little bit of a longer GT trip to whatever destination that you like. Yeah, and that's about it. Stay tuned for the next video. I have a little bit of surprise for you guys. See you later. Bye.